Recording now in progress.
Oh, my goodness.
Let me make sure my volumes and levels are articulate for the flora and fauna of the podcast.
The what?
You don't understand. It's advanced podcast speech.
Oh.
1, 2, 3, 4. You make me wanna die. Just trying to stay alive. Some days I wanna die, but I don't wanna say goodbye.
Just kidding. This is Slashers, your favorite horror podcast about your favorite horror media. It is me, your favorite host, Mikey, here with my lovely colleague and co-host and cohort, Austin from Frightmare's podcast. Say hello to the mutant goons from beyond, Austin.
I'm here and I'm ready for this movie because I really enjoyed it. So I'm happy to hear what you have to say about it because apparently it wasn't your speed. So
Oh my God, I'm so glad that you liked it. But before we begin, I would like to say Happy St. Patrick's Day. I can't do it. I'm not even going to try to do an Irish accent. I was like going to for a second and then I immediately stopped. So happy St. Patrick's Day. It is St. Patrick's hour-ish type thing. So we were like, well, not we actually just picked this movie. And I was like, I'm going to pretend we did it on purpose because it involves little green things killing people. Not leprechauns, mind you. Something much sinister.
yeah, it's like a frog monster thing. I don't even know.
Don't act like it was a frog now. You thought it was an alligator earlier.
I did about 5 seconds ago. I can't make my mind up.
But Jason actually chose this movie because it takes place during Sprung Break, and Sprung Break is right now. So hope you guys are having a great vacation if you are off. If not, sorry about it.
Wow, was that intentional, Mikey?
Yes.
Putting a jab at me.
Yes, yeah, that is intentional.
You were off, Aid was off, and I'm like, fuck, man.
I know.
I have my kids, so I can take weeks off.
Oh, that's not why I took it off. I was actually mad that I took it off, and I realized it was spring break, so I was going to be home with the kids. That was the disappointing part. But I was texting you, and you'd be like, "It's the weekday. What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Oh, what is time? I'm so, just lost and confused in my realm of PTO." And so you were like, you said, I'm going to censor it, so it sounds like you said, I can't believe you made me think that, blah, 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 blah.
Wow.
So, but anyways, that's neither here nor there. We already worked out our differences before the show. So, before we get into it, I made everybody fill out this really cute form that said, what is your favorite, well, not what is your favorite St. Patrick's Day movie, but it said, what is your favorite, insert your favorite things according to my little template. And if you guys don't have me on Instagram, you can add me at Horror and a Half Shell to steal this template and fill it out if you so desire. But basically, it's Horror of the Irish, your favorite leprechaun film, favorite Irish horror film, favorite Patrick in horror, favorite snake attack horror, food-centered horror, and your favorite poster art featuring the color green. So in case any of you non-Catholics, first of all, I'll pray for you. Second of all, if you don't understand why your favorite snake attack movie is on this list, I will educate you. Austin Proctor, do you know what is your favorite snake attack movie is on the St. Patrick's Day list?
Once you tell me, it'll jog my memory because I definitely know there's some correlation with snakes and St. Patrick's Day, but I literally right now cannot remember. So once you say it, I'll be like, that's it.
Okay, well, that's basically what everybody says when they don't know the answer.
Oh, shut up.
So I'm going to say it, and he's going to be like, oh, yeah, I totally knew that. So, like, the origin of St. Patrick's Day is celebrating St. Patrick, who essentially came and, like, rid this island of snakes. Something like that.
No, that's not what I was thinking. So I think I didn't, either someone told me that and it was the wrong thing, or I'm not remembering because that does not sound like what I was told.
Yeah, so if you look at a picture of St. Patrick, he's often depicted with a snake on his or under his foot. And basically there's a legend associated with St. Patrick that he stood upon an Irish hillside and banished snakes from Ireland, prompting all serpents to slither away into the sea. In fact, research suggests snakes never occupied the Emerald Isle in the first place. I'm going to say something really American. Is Ireland an island?
Is it?
Okay, good. I'm
I
not the only
mean,
stupid one.
okay, it's like the same conversation of is Australia an island? Because like technically it is, but it's a yeah. There's a weird. I mean, technically it's an island, but I don't think they consider it an island. But I mean, Ireland's not its own
I
like
mean, I guess everything is an
continent.
island.
Yeah,
Everything is an island,
technically.
but I'm looking at comparisons here. And I think, uh, yes. So Ireland is like an island off of the UK. It's a lot smaller than Australia. So if like Australia looks like a rhino, because it does, Ireland would be like its eye. So Ireland is small, y'all.
According to my Google search, it says Ireland is an island nation on the westernmost edge of Europe. So I don't know how accurate that is, but that's something.
Sure. I am not of Irish descent. You look like you could be. And yes, I
Um,
am stereotyping you as a white person with a red beard.
that's fair. I
You're
think
either
it's
Irish or
actually
pirate.
a pirate. Yeah, I hope it's pirate. I think there's either Scottish or Irish on my dad's side somewhere back. So I think I am. I mean, I would assume so with the
Uh,
fucking red beard that I have.
that's a very tall leprechaun we have, ladies and gentlemen. Um, and so just to kind of touch on it, since we're both here, my options or choices, whatever, what have you. Favorite Leprechaun movie? Most people haven't heard of it. I think it might be a sci-fi movie, but I just think it's really fun. It's called
Mhm.
Red Clover or Leprechaun's Revenge. They've switched the titles. I don't know why. But it has Billy Zane who plays the dad of like a
Oh,
teenage girl. But it's cool. Like the leprechaun in it is actually like kind of creepy looking. And I of course I like the leprechaun movies, well, some of them. But like, I think it's fun to also have something besides the leprechaun movies. Like that's why we're so excited to get Thanksgiving from Eli Roth, because we all love Thanksgiving. And if you don't, like, sorry that you hate life. But but yeah, it's fun to have another thing out there that's not just the one series that you think of when you think of St. Patrick's Day. So I really like oh, God damn it. Red Clover or Leprechaun's Revenge. If you can find it anywhere, watch it. It's free. It's fun.
it is on
Um,
Tubi. I see that here. I put it on my list. So if you want to watch it, go to Tubi.
yes. And so I thought that was a bug. Austin, I have your list up here. You chose Leprechaun Returns.
I did. No, is that? Yeah, not Origins Returns. It's like the most recent one. It's directed by the same guy who did Psycho Gorman, Steve Katowski or something like that. I was actually shocked because usually when they do remakes or requels, they can be hit or miss. But I really enjoyed it. It was pretty gory, and it wasn't Warwick Davis as a Leprechaun, which makes me sad
Yeah.
because he's iconic from Leprechaun. But nonetheless, it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy that one. I think I've only really seen the Leprechaun movies for like that series. I don't think I've seen any other Leprechaun movie, honestly.
Yeah, so Warwick Davis stopped doing Leprechaun when he had kids, if I understand correctly, because he didn't want to make horror movies anymore, just because of, his kids. So I actually met the actor who plays the new Leprechaun. He's really cool. He's a lot younger than Warwick Davis. But he was a really cool guy. He was telling us a bunch of stuff because he actually I was trying to remember the story. It was a couple of years ago, but he was telling me like how he was able to get these roles, because I think he had another role that was kind of big. But he is a little person, and so basically like there is like a network of little people that are actors that like help each other out. So he's met Warwick Davis, and I believe the person that got him like his first audition or something was Vern Troyer. Is that his name? Vern Troyer? No, Vern Troyer.
Vern Troyer, yeah.
Yeah. And so it was really cool to meet him. He's a really cool guy. If he's ever at a convention, you go see him, to go support him. I wanted to ask you your favorite Irish horror film. You put The Devil's Doorway. Can you
Correct.
please tell me about that film? I have not heard of such film.
Ooh, if you're into found footage, you will really like this movie. Devil's Doorway. Let me pull it up here so I can give you the proper. I just typed in Devil's Footway. That's a completely different movie, I'm sure. Devil's Doorway. So it's set in 1960. and they are going to investigate this. I think it's like some church or something like that. They were sent by the Vatican, and they go investigate this church where something very horrific is going on. Their statues are bleeding and shit like that, and it's filmed in this like in the style of found footage. They've got big cameras since it's in the 60s, and it's very creepy. I really like it. It's on Tubi if you want to check it out. It was directed by a lady named Island Clark, and I know she's Irish, and I'm pretty sure it was set in Ireland as well. But it's a lot of fun. It's like one of those films that not a lot of people have heard of, I think. And I have the Blu-ray of it from Scream Factory, but it is very creepy, and it's only 76 minutes, so it's a very low commitment movie. But I recommend that one. I recommend that one a lot. It's a lot of fun. Super
Yeah,
spooky.
I'll have to watch it. That sounds interesting. If I hate it, you will hear from me. Um,
What about if you love it? You're just gonna keep it quiet.
I won't admit it. I
Ugh.
won't. I won't give you the satisfaction. Um, my favorite Irish horror movie is Isolation, about the mad cows. I love that movie
Oh.
because I did not know it was about mad cows until I started watching it, and I was like, "What the fuck?" So it was really cool. Favorite Patrick in horror. You chose Patrick Wilson. Big surprise. Everybody wants to get bent over and told that they're a bad boy because of Patrick Wilson. So I totally get it, Austin. I oh my god, I forgot his last name. Starts with a W. I chose
Patrick Warburton.
yeah, Patrick, because a while ago he was hot, but also I love his voice acting, and he's always like popping up in horror randomly, like he was the dad in The Babysitter 1 and 2. Um,
Oh my! I was just about to ask you. I was like, what horror movies was he in? That's right. I totally forgot he was in that.
he's done a bunch, and now I'm gonna have to pull it up because Patrick Warburton, oh, he was so hot. I mean, of course, we all know him as Crunk. You know his voice more than you probably know his like actual film roles, but like Crunk and Family Guy, he's Joe.
He was Putty in Seinfeld, Elaine's boyfriend for a few seasons. He's really funny in that show.
Yeah, in Baby Shark's Big Show, I know it's huge. He's Grandpa Shark. Just kidding. But where is it? So he was in The Babysitter. God, he's done so much. He was also the dad in Better Watch Out, so he's the dad again. And what else has he been in? He's
sure
been
he
in
has
stuff.
and things.
Yeah. Oh, Bad Milo. Anyways, neither here nor there. So he has done some bits in horror. Oh yeah, and he was also in Scream 3, I think. Wasn't he the bodyguard of Parker Posey?
Oh, I think he was. Yeah.
Yeah, so Scooby-Doo, like he's huge in horror. When you do Scooby-Doo, you know you've made it. Neither here nor there. And then the favorite snake movie, I chose Megapython versus Gatoroid because if you haven't seen it, super fun. If you are from a certain era, Austin may not understand this, but it has Debbie Gibson and Tiffany from the early 90s who are like basically the 90s version of Christina versus Britney. And so they play rivals in this movie. And Tiffany's most famous song is the cover of I Think We're Alone Now. She's the female vocalist that sings it. So if you've ever heard the female vocalist version, it's probably her. So there's a part where they jump out of some exploding building and they're in the lake. And of course they have to like come together to overcome evil at the end. And Tiffany gets out of the lake and she's like, I think we're alone now. And Debbie Gibson's like, yeah, there doesn't seem to be anyone around. And so like it's just fun. I like that
Okay.
movie a lot.
All right.
And then again, Austin, not surprising anybody. Favorite snake movie.
Wow.
Favorite snake movie is Boogie Nights, just because the last scene where Mark Wahlberg brings out his schlong. Just kidding. It was Anaconda, which basically the same thing. Food-centered horror, I picked Compulsion with Heather Graham and the girl from The Matrix. I forgot her name.
Carrie Ann Moss.
Yeah, Harry Moss. So it's just amazing. She's like obsessed with cooking and like I don't remember if she's a chef. I saw it a long time ago, but it's one of those like lady goes crazy, and I love those movies.
Okay.
Not saying ladies are crazy, and I'm not gaslighting anybody, but I do love me some female revenge.
Yeah.
Austin, you chose The Platform, which I understand. I haven't seen it, but I know what it's about.
It honestly it surprised me with how good at least I thought it was. Great social message, and I did have to look up an ending explained because I didn't really get it. But when someone explained it to me, I was like, oh, that's cool. But yeah, it's a Netflix original too, and I think I believe it's Spanish. I
Oh,
believe.
no wonder you know so much Spanish. Um,
I do watch a lot of Spanish horror. I love
yeah.
Spanish horror movies.
Oh, I love them too. Favorite poster art featuring the color green. I knew you were gonna do this because I wanted to do this, but I was like, let me be different. Austin chose Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I chose Horror Hotel. Um, both great movies. Go watch them. I think Horror Hotel is from the early 60s. And of course, if you don't know when Killer Clowns from Outer Space came out, you should probably go listen to Damn That's Scary or something like that. But just kidding.
I
Um,
was gonna do Alien, to be fair, because it more heavily featured green, but I think it's because I just watched Killer Clowns. I was like, I'm gonna pick this one.
I don't even know what I would choose if someone was like, "What do I like better, Alien versus Killer Clowns from Outer Space?" Because
Yeah,
they're so
totally
tonally
different.
different. But it's like,
Depends on what
um,
mood I'm in. If I want a serious movie, I'll go Alien. If I want a kooky '80s movie, gotta go Killer Clowns, man.
mm-hmm, you said it. But like kooky with a little dash of actually scary, because those clowns
Yeah.
are pretty scary. So,
Hmm.
anyways, that's the template. You can find us on Instagram. It sounds like I'm ending the show already. You can find us on
Bye,
Instagram.
everybody.
Yeah, bye. Fuck the movie we're about to watch or about to talk about. So Horror and a Half Shells Me, you'll find the template there, or if you follow Mutant Goons from Beyond, the templates there also. Um, everyone's filled one out. Even Kevin, our lovely Patreon member, filled one out. So
Oh, nice.
you can see the results on my highlights, and you can also fill out the template yourself if you'd like to. Anyways, that wraps up our St. Patrick's Day discussion. Drink safely and wear green. I bought a really cute leprechaun shirt specifically for St. Patrick's Day, so I will post that tomorrow.
Oh, snap. I like it.
Yes. Now, the movie of the hour. What was it called again? Oh, yeah.
There's nothing out there.
So, you guys, the title There's Nothing Out There is actually really great. Like because I had no idea about this movie and they were talking about reviewing There's Nothing Out There. And a part of me is thinking like, ooh, maybe it's like a babysitter and she's like babysitting a house like in the woods and she sings something and her boyfriend comes over to like have some one-on-one time, and she's like, oh my God, I think I heard something out there. He's like, not bad, there's nothing out there. You know how guys talk. And
Exact
so
spot on.
yeah, and so I was like, oh, this might actually be like something Troma released that is good. Oh yeah, by the way, I haven't been on a Troma episode before, so get ready for my take. Um, I was mistaken. My brain lied to me several times. So we have a movie out there. This summary: when a horror film buff tries to warn his friends spending spring break in a house in the woods of impending danger, they scoff at him. That is, until a huge mutant frog starts to pick them off one by one.
Oh,
What
it's
are
literally listed as a mutant frog.
Yes. Also, huge is a
Oh my
bit of
god.
a stretch. It's not big.
Yeah, it's right
Um,
behind me. It can fit on a lap. I mean,
yeah,
it's not that big.
it's yeah. Um, so it is listed as comedy, fantasy, horror. I have no idea why fantasy's in there. The director, Rolfe Kanefsky, starring Craig Peck, Wendy Bednarz, and Mark Collver. um,
None of them had a fucking picture on IMDb, so they're, well versed in acting. I didn't see a single picture except I think one girl had a picture and I was like, "Oh boy."
yeah, and she had nothing else on her IMDb page. Um, because I looked at all of them too. I was like, maybe I recognize someone from something. No.
Nope.
And so this was released in 1991. It says it's unrated, but I'm assuming it's probably just R because it's pretty sexual and it's pretty exploitative in terms of like nudity, but it doesn't, to me, it doesn't go into NC-17 territory. It's just, what do they
No.
call them? A skin flick? I forgot
Skinamax.
what my parents used to call them. No, there's called something else, something like a skin flick or something. I don't know. It's old people
Hmm.
talk. Um, yeah. So Have you heard of this before, Austin? Have you seen this before?
No, I had not heard of it. And when you guys said you were watching it, I know it was on YouTube. That's how we watched it. But I went in completely blind. I was like, I'll just go into this. I knew it was 90s and it's Troma. I was like, that's all I need to know. I'm just gonna go into it. And I really thought it was going to be a slasher movie from the opening sequence, and then it fucking went alien. I think it was a good to go into it blind because like I said, I had no idea it was gonna just switch gears so quickly. So I think that's kind of why I really enjoyed it, because it was almost like a fake out at the beginning. But I enjoyed it. This is my first watch, and I'm already trying to find a Blu-ray of it because I enjoyed it a lot.
Great. So, I have not heard about this movie. It was my first time going in blind as well. Well, not super blind because I think I actually looked up the IMDb page right before I started watching it. So the whole like mutant frog from outer space was ruined for me.
Oh,
Um, Real quick at the box office, it was an estimated budget. Well, that doesn't sound right. Okay, no, it made $350,000 estimated at the box office. So good for them,
okay.
because I think so. I did do my due diligence and I did some research, even though it's hard to find some stuff. I want to say that this was made on a $20,000 budget,
Yeah.
maybe.
I mean,
Um,
I can see that, especially with the whole bunch of actors that haven't really done much.
yeah, so everybody was basically given, from my research, if this is correct, Rolfe, don't come for me. I'm sorry. I will release an apology if you correct me.
Yeah.
Um, from what I read, everybody that was an actor was not SAG, so you don't have to pay deposits or like insurance and all that stuff. Also, everybody was on, I think it was called like a deferred
Oh
payment, which
yeah,
basically was like, we'll pay you later.
I read
Um,
that too on the IMDb trivia.
yes. So I also heard that the director, and this was great, like I do appreciate this, the like what this movie did and how it got made. It just didn't really appeal to me.
That's fair.
Um, the director went door to door collecting funds for this movie, and was able to raise about 90% of the funds that way. And then his parents mortgaged their house to help pay for the remainder of it. Which I don't, maybe, I don't know. This was
Dedication, I mean, for sure.
this was probably late 80s that this happened, so maybe that is correct, because also houses back then were not like they are today. Like to me it's like I'm not going to mortgage my house for a $20,000 bill. um but this was earlier, and that money, $20,000, got you a lot more
Yeah.
than what it would give you now.
Right.
Basically you can get like a Ford Focus from 98.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I
um
don't know about brand new, but definitely like
yeah,
10, 10 or 15 years old.
a used Ford Focus.
A
Uh,
certified pre-owned.
that's how I judge how like where we are in the times. Because when I was in high school, I wanted to save up for a car, and I wanted a yellow Mazda 6, and it was 16,998.
Oh, wow.
Now they're like 32,000. So literally they've doubled. The base cost of a car from when I was in high school has doubled, because the normal cost
That's
is about 32,000.
yeah, that's gross. I don't like that at all.
Me neither. Um, but I do love the hustle of making your own movie. The script was written by the director when he was 18 and still in high school. He directed the movie when he was 20. So that's pretty impressive. Um, there is some controversy. I don't know if you've heard the controversy, Austin, about this movie.
Was it about the lady in the sex scene?
No, that was just her not
Oh,
wanting to do nudity, but then they
oh no, I have not heard the controversy. Just do tell.
I don't know if we should do it now or later, because this was the most interesting thing that I did find out about the movie. So
Let's save it for the end then.
we will talk about the movie a little bit, and then I'll save that interesting tidbit for later. So film opens up, and friends go, like, think of Cabin Fever, right? Oh my god, no more fucking finals, showing your titties and stuff. They go to a cabin, and there's one guy who is the Randy Meeks of the group, so to speak.
Oh, good. We're
And
on the same page then.
I apologize in advance for saying that, because I will clarify later. But that's the only way I can explain it. So he's the horror movie fanatic. He knows about everything. He knows they pull up to the house, and he's like, literally every horror film, watch what happens when you get into this house. And then he's talking about like not being split up. So they all get to this house and they're all just fugging. I don't think he doesn't have sex. He doesn't have a girlfriend, right? He's like, is he the
Pretty
only
sure
single one?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's the only single one because everyone else starts fucking. I mean, it's like 20 to 25 minutes of just everyone having sex. It was a lot. I didn't think this was a horror movie for like the first half hour.
It's sprinkled throughout. It is a lot. But to me, the reason why it didn't bug me, and also I'm also kind of like very open when it comes to like sex in movies. I used to hate it because I used to get so pissed off because I would be like 13 years old. I would have to go stay with my dad for the summer and he'd go let me rent movies and I'd sit there and he'd want to watch them with me and like sitting there watching like an erotic horror film when I didn't know it was an erotic horror film was very awkward. So, but now that I'm an adult and I'm able to have my own space, it's fine. There's like some super interesting points of views that I've read. People have said that they feel gross watching sex scenes because the actors haven't given consent to be watched. And it's like, well, technically they did because they signed a script and there's like a nudity clause. So,
Yeah.
but it's very strange. And I noticed people get like, there's some people that get so worked up, not in a good way, about sex scenes. Like, and my thing is like, okay, well, we'll check and see what it's rated R for. And then if it says sex, don't watch it. Because the funny thing is, I put this on in my living room, and I put it on like at 6 in the morning because I wake up early, and my kids wake up for school around around 6:30, and so I did a quick IMDb check, and I was like, let's see what this says about sex. Because if it has sex, I'm not gonna keep it on when the kids wake up. But if it's just like some like hokey gore, that's fine. And on IMDb, the parental guidance rating, where is it? It says like moderate sex. I mean, so that's enough to like make me not keep it on, but also I was like, this was not moderate. This was pretty much throughout. Um,
Yeah, that's I would consider that severe. There's like 7 or 8 or 9 different pair of boobs you see. It's a lot of boobs.
yeah, every woman in the movie you see her boobs. Um, but the thing that I was kind of like isn't a big deal is like they're not long scenes. Like usually when they're having sex and nudity, moderate. So violence and gore, moderate. Profanity, moderate. Um, frightening and intense scenes, moderate. It's a very moderate movie. Um, but when they're actually having their sex scenes, even though there's a lot and you see a lot of boobs, it's not like explicit sex. Like it's just, and some of the times it's like literally the camera pans by a room and they're like on the bed and like grinding on each other, and then like it's like a 5-second thing and it moves on to the next room. So there's a lot of that. It's not like, you know, 30-minute stretched out scene of a sex scene in the Friday the 13th remake. Like that was a bit intense sex scene.
Perfect nipple placement. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah. But yeah, so there was a lot of that. So basically they have sex for the first half of the movie. And then it's just shit starts happening.
We got to talk about the opening because it was such a fake out because it is like this girl in a video store and there appears to be this unknown assailant throwing shit at her, and then it ends up being this girl that was having a nightmare, but she wakes up driving a fucking car, so I guess she fell asleep at the wheel. And then 2 seconds later she shoots into the forest and like smashes her dad's car up, and she's like, I'm okay, I'm alive, and I'm okay. I was like, yeah, okay, that's great. And then that's when the fucking frog monster attacks her. And that was a total fake out because then they don't go back to that until the very end of the movie. But after everyone's having sex and they're all done doing it, I don't even know how it starts. I think 2 people go out into the woods and they get attacked. And I found it hilarious because the monster attacks the guy by like getting him in the junk. And then all he does to the girl is just rip off her pants so you can see her underwear. And I was like, what? And then she just runs away into the forest. I was like, oh, okay. I don't remember if that guy dies or not.
I don't even
Yeah.
know.
It's like, and it's a weird monster too because it doesn't really show its full form like it is behind me until almost the very end of the movie. It's just like you can clearly tell it's a guy with like hands and like this little puppet thing, and he's just smacking these tentacles around or whatever the fuck those things are. So
Yeah,
I didn't even know what it was for
I
half the
was
movie.
confused about where the tentacles were located.
And it's just like on its side. It's a very weird monster. I mean, I give it points for creativity because it's definitely, I've never seen anything like that before. And I love cheesy, creature effects and stuff like that. But yeah, it's just this monster comes out of the woods, and they don't even really address where it came from, except for the very beginning when something falls from the sky and the girl thinks it's a falling cloud. And I was like, yeah, because that's a fucking thing. So they don't really explain where it comes from. It just drops out of nowhere and just starts attacking these kids for no apparent reason. No motive besides that it's a monster and they're having sex, and you can't have sex in horror movies because you'll die.
Yeah,
Um,
pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah. And then it's just like, I mean, for most of the movie, it is literally just them running away from this fucking monster. And then, I did like Mike though. He kind of annoyed me at first, but he actually came around to save the day, which was cool. He didn't end up getting gooshed like Randy did. He got killed in the second one, right? Scream 2,
Hmm.
right? Okay. Yeah, but he was actually like the voice of reason and trying to help everybody because everyone else was like very intent on not surviving. They were making very stupid decisions. So at least Mike was there to save the day at the end of the story.
Yes. Um, yeah, it just, to me, it happened. Things happened.
So
Nudity
what
happened.
what rubbed you the wrong way there? Like, was it just boring? Is it just, I don't know, because I found it to be so cheesy and fun. It was so ridiculous.
Nothing like rubbed me the wrong way, but like nothing rubbed me the right way, if that makes sense. Like, I watched it and I was not into it. I didn't hate it. I was just like, okay, cheesy monster,
Yeah,
cheesy acting. And oh my God, those action cuts
they were
when, oh no, they weren't. When Homegirl runs, she walks in. I think she walks in, she gets out of the lake for some reason. She's swimming by herself.
great.
And then she goes upstairs. Oh, she hears someone screaming, which I was like, okay, this is the first time in a horror movie I've actually seen where a friend hears someone screaming and she gets out and goes to check on them, and we're gonna see what happens. And so she goes to check on her friend, and I think the frog thing's eating the friend or something. I don't remember.
Yeah.
But then she screams and then she runs. Instead of going back downstairs, she just runs into the next room, and then opens, or yeah, I think she either opens the window or breaks the window.
I
She
thought she
jumps
jumped through it. I'm pretty sure.
she
Yeah.
jumps out of the window and somehow ends up in this lake that's like 20 feet away from the house. The cut was ridiculous.
The cut was
Um,
absurd. You see her break it, and then it just cuts to her halfway in the air, falling down. I was like, "This is
yeah,
amazing! Oh, it's so bad. I love it."
and there was a couple of scenes like that, and
Yeah,
those things are funny to me. Um, I don't know. It just, it was fine. It's I don't hate trauma movies. Contrary to popular belief, because the last Troma movie I saw I didn't like, which was our Tromeo and Juliet review.
oh,
Um, but it just, and like we talked about earlier, this doesn't seem like a typical like class of Nukem High Troma. This seems like something that was just published or put out by Troma.
yeah. They
Um,
must have just like produced it, or sorry, distributed it, because I didn't even see. Well, I did. We did watch it on YouTube, but I didn't even see like the Troma Entertainment Presents or whatever. So they
yeah.
might have just distributed it. But did you watch it on YouTube?
Yes. Yeah.
Do you think the quality had anything to do with your enjoyment? Because that was kind of limiting how much I enjoyed it. Like I really liked it, but it was so pixelated because it was, I was casting it to my TV that it kind of did take me out of it. It was hard to make some stuff out. So I don't know. Do you think that affected your viewing experience in any way because it was kind of low quality?
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
Um, and it's just, I think that might have a lot to do with it, but it's just, to me in movies, I like to be able to at least like characters,
Yeah.
and we don't even really get to know these characters other than like what they look like with their tops off. Um, and then like Homeboy is, so first of all, I wanted to ask, because we see this in horror all the time. Have you ever gone on any type of trip with your friends when you were a teenager like this?
No, never went to a cabin in the woods because that sounds very murdery. And I've also never skinny dipped like in a group like that in the middle of the day. Also, why did they all took their shirts off, but not their pants? They weren't even skinny dipping. They were like half dipping. But no, I've never been on anything like this before. And I guess I'm glad I haven't because I'm sure some shit like this would happen to me. Crazy alien comes down out of nowhere, destroys everybody.
Yeah. I mean, the closest thing that I think we've done is we said that we were going to go stay at a friend's house, but we all ended up driving to a national park. I think it was a national park, and like went camping. It was really dangerous. We probably shouldn't have done that.
I know when you look back at all the shit you did when you were younger, like, how am I still here? I did some questionable things in my youth.
Yeah. How did I lie to my parents that I was going to be like 2 streets down when I was like 2 hours and 45 minutes away?
They did not
Um,
have tracking on iPhones. That's how we got away with that shit.
yeah. I'm not condoning nor endorsing that behavior to any of our listeners out there. But yeah, but also like, yeah, I've skinny dipped with friends, but like, I've never been that sexually adventurous to be like boning in the room next to my friends when my friends are boning. That's
Oh,
strange.
that's odd.
Um,
Yeah. I was just gonna say, if you don't want to hear this, if you don't want to hear spoilers, just skip ahead, like 2 seconds or 2 minutes. I just thought it was funny at the end when Mike and the girls do get away, and they find the fucking girl from the intro who wrecked her car, who's been wandering through the fucking forest for a day and a half or whatever. And because the monster, it's very invasion of the body snatcher. The monster, I guess, can like take over people's bodies because eventually at one point like people had green eyes and they were shooting lasers out and shit. So I guess the monster can like inhabit you and kind of like use you as a minion or something. And when they picked that girl up in the middle of the night, I was like, one, that was a bold move because you don't even know who this chick is. You should have kept driving. But then she gets in and they're like, "Oh my god, you're infected. You've got green eyes." And then they just fucking kick her out of the van back into the forest. I was like, "Oh wow, that was fucking hilarious." And that's how it ends. I thought that was brilliant. That was so
yeah,
fucking funny.
yeah, that's probably the best part of the movie because like
The ending.
when the frog first did the whole laser eye thing, I was like, oh god.
Oh, that's when I
Um,
was I was like, yes, I love it. It's so cheesy.
and then he does it to the girl, and somehow she knows to shield her eye. She's like, no,
And it like pings off of her arm. I
yeah.
was like, what
So
is it not does it penetrate your arm?
yeah, so it can penetrate your eyeballs, but it cannot penetrate your skin.
Yeah.
Um, alien technology is advanced, but not that advanced.
Apparently cannot go through flesh.
Mm-mm.
And there was some rules that went along with it, like don't look it in the eyes. It's attracted to light because they use flashlights, and it's like a cat trying to paw at it. There were just some really silly moments that I enjoyed. I think this was something I needed because today was just stressful and this was just so goofy. So I don't know. Maybe you weren't in the right mindset. I don't know. I figured you would love this movie.
No, but I also am not in the right mindset. This whole week has been a mess for me.
Even though you've been off, oh, that is not cool. Who do I need to beat up? You tell me.
the state of Texas.
Okay.
Um, but so this director, I'm actually maybe if I would have known who directed it before I watched it, I may have liked it more because I actually am familiar with this director's work, a couple of films, I think 3 of them. So Rolfe Kanefsky, if you guys know these movies, you might also be familiar with his work. So he has done, I'm trying to pull up the ones that I know. Nightmare Man with Tiffany Shepis. It was one of the original 8 films to die for when that was released.
Oh,
Um, yes. The Hazing, also with Tiffany Shepis. Um, it has another name that I saw. I don't know why they do these like it's named this, but also it's called this. It's like just keep it one name.
well,
Um,
sometimes if it's like a different country, sometimes they have different names. But yeah, I don't know why this one would be a different name. It was made here, so
yeah. So The Hazing, Nightmare Man. Oh man, he's written a lot also. Um, and then the last one is the Dark Room or the Black Room. Let me see, where is it?
Black Room. I've got it right here.
Yeah, the Black Room. That was a good one too. And so I'm a big fan of Tiffany Shepis. I've met her before, and she knows who I am, not to brag. But yeah, so I originally was going to interview her for a film that she wasn't too keen on. So I was like, well, never mind. What are we going to talk about then? She's like, I don't know. She's like, let's talk about The Hazing. And I said, okay, well, The Hazing's cool. But I didn't know it was also by the same guy who did Nightmare Man, which I thought Nightmare Man was cool too. And so she just like threw me in a group text with her and Rolf.
That's
And so,
amazing.
yeah. And so when I saw his name, I was like, I don't know too many people named Rolf. And so I looked at it and I was like, this is the same Rolf. So yeah, so I enjoy his stuff. I think he's also done quite a bit of erotic stuff. So,
Oh yeah, that's most of his career is nudie films, which makes sense as to why there's so many boobies in this movie.
yeah. And then I don't know, I'm kind of interested in seeing this Mirror Witch that came out in 2020.
Mirror
Um,
Witch.
yeah, but he's also a writer. He wrote, oh no, he also directed Bus Party to Hell.
Bus Party. Amazing.
Isn't it?
Oh, that's on Paramount Plus. Oh, and it's on Amazon Prime. I know we're watching next Tuesday.
Oh my goodness. It's my turn to pick, not yours.
Oh, damn it, that's right.
I don't know why IMDb has it listed as Bus Party to Hell when the poster clearly says Party Bus to Hell. It has Tara Reid in it, so that's how I know about it.
Oh, there we go.
I
As-
haven't seen it, but I know that when it first came out on Redbox, I was like, "What is that?" And I saw Tara Reid's name, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
Oh.
Yeah, but yeah. So Rolfe makes some pretty fun. Like I thought those were fun. So like those movies, Nightmare Man, The Hazing, The Black Room was a little more serious. So I wouldn't. But from what I can see from Party Bus to Hell, it looks also that like cheesy, funny comedy. Um, they all have boobs in them, but I don't know why this one just didn't land for me. Um, and so the story I heard, and so also to touch on what you mentioned earlier, the girl who plays,
I don't remember any of their fucking names besides Mike. Completely forgettable characters, honestly. There's no character building at all. It's just pretty much sex and then everyone dies for the most part.
yeah. So
I love
there was an actress in the film that knew what she was signing on for, and then when it actually came down to film her scene, she decided she didn't want to do nudity. And then she just kind of, it says in the trivia that she made filming like a nightmare for everybody. Um, she didn't want to do it, and then they convinced her to do it, and then she did it, and then she was like, okay, well, you can use the nudity but don't use my sex scene. Then they were like, well, we already have it. So it says like the whole like half of the filming dates was the director trying to convince her not to quit. Rolfe wanted to make a sequel because from this video I was watching, that kind of, I think it was actually him talking, they were interviewing him. He got the title because he wanted to name it something what people usually say in horror movies, which is there's nothing out there. So he wanted to make the sequel the next most popular thing people say in horror movies. Can you guess what that is?
The next most popular thing. I don't have any service.
No, I actually think what they consider the second most famous thing actually is the first most famous thing.
Don't go
my
in there.
No, that's what
Oh.
the audience says, not the people. Characters never say that. They're like, let's go do
Okay.
it. This isn't funny anymore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They do. Yeah, they do. That is definitely said a lot.
Yes. So there was three different houses used. There was three different houses used for the interior of the house in the woods. Deferred salaries is what it's called, that the cast members worked on because they weren't SAG. So, when it's SAG, you have to do SAG rules, but if not, whatever.
Yeah, there's no rules.
Yeah. So in the video that I was watching, they said that how do I start this? So they filmed the movie and then they released it, or what, they didn't release it. I think they were showing it around to like distributors, and they had a couple of viewings, and like critics and audiences were giving it really good praise. So that's already like hard for me to believe. But I was actually reading some of the critic reviews from back then, and people, praise is an overstatement. They were pointing out the good things and the promising things that were involved. They weren't actually like, oh, this was great. But anyways, so he was trying to find a distributor, and then he got a hold of distributors, and they were like, oh my God, this is great. We want to work with you, yada, yada, yada. The horror industry's hot right now. Like, this is great. And then, like, before it was planned to be acquired or something, the horror genre started tanking. That was around the time when like Tremors came out and other movies that we like but did not do well in
Yeah, the
theater.
early '90s were a very odd time for horror movies.
Yeah, so he didn't know what to do with this movie, so he showed his friend. And his friend was like, I really like this. Do you mind if I show it to my dad? He was like, yeah, sure. Show it to your dad. Because this was after like he just was stuck and didn't have any plans or anything to do for the movie.
Mm.
So he showed it to his dad and didn't hear anything back. Do you know who his dad is? Wes
Uh,
Craven.
oh shit. Okay.
So when he saw Scream and saw the character of Randy Meeks, he was like, Wes Craven stole that from my movie.
Yeah, they're very similar.
Now, I'm not here to speak ill of the dead. Whether that happened or not, maybe. It's an interesting story. Um, and there have been articles released about how, you know, this character was, I mean, obviously this movie was made in 91, probably late 80s also, released in 91. So Scream was 95. So you can't deny that this one came first. But whether or not Wes Craven saw this movie and liked the idea of a self-aware character in the movie, it's something interesting to think about.
Yeah,
But
because
yeah.
I sat there, I was like, wow, it's interesting because this was 5 or 6 years earlier, and yeah, he's pretty much just like a not very well fleshed out Randy. You know what I mean? Like he's got the same like motives and stuff like that, and knows all the same stuff, but Randy's a little bit more intricate as a character. But that makes sense because all the characters in Scream have a much like better character background and story and stuff like
Oh
that.
yeah.
But yeah, the similarities are definitely there. I don't know if I don't think he intentionally like ripped it off, but I definitely think he had to have been inspired by that, and kind of took it and did his own thing with it. But yeah, that is quite interesting.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's not like a direct ripoff. But I could
Right.
see if the story was true, I could see Wes Craven being like, you know what, that's actually a really good, like, cool thing to have a character in a movie that calls out the stupid thing the characters do in movies and kind of
Yeah.
works as like the audience's voice, and then incorporate that with Randy. So maybe
Yeah.
the actors have said in interviews that no one liked actress Bonnie Bowers because she made the shoot hell for everyone involved. I would
Damn you, Bonnie.
I would like to end on that trivia fact. What's the Frightmares rating of this?
Currently it's at a 3.5 because, like I said, it was very grainy and pixelated. I did find a copy on eBay. There, it sucks because Vinegar Syndrome actually put out a Blu-ray of it, and now it's out of print. And anything that's out of print always goes for ridiculous money. But if I saw a cleaner cut version of it, it might go up to a 4. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was good, cheesy, campy, fun, and didn't take itself too seriously. And it also wasn't very long. It was like 91 minutes, so it's not like it overstayed its welcome. And there's actually some pretty decent gore. There's a good face melting scene. There's a beheading. I think there's one other thing where someone gets got pretty good. So yeah, 3.5 out of 5.
Interesting. I
What
mean,
about you, Mikey?
your rating system's a little wonky because, as we all know, you gave Skinamarink and the Outwaters really low ratings. But we're not here to talk about that.
Ah!
No, we're not here to talk about that. I don't know. Maybe 2 out of 5.
Oh
Hmm.
man, okay.
I don't know. I have to let it marinate a little bit longer. You know what I have to be careful of? I have to be careful with when I go shopping on Vinegar Syndrome or Arrow Video because I am victim of what's called poster enjoyment theft, where I see the cover and I'm like, that looks really dope. I'm gonna buy that movie. And then I watch it and I was like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah,
Um, for instance, Lover's Lane has an Arrow release, and the cover is beautiful. I
yeah,
have Lover's Lane on DVD, and it's not a good movie. I'm sorry.
yeah.
Um,
I almost got that one until I was looking up ratings, and I was like, maybe I don't spend $35 on that one. Maybe I wait till it goes on sale.
yeah, and that's the same thing with Pandemonium. I also got what's it called? The Slayer. I don't think I've seen The Slayer yet, but I bought a couple of them, and I'm like, these are bad movies. I'm just buying the DVD for the art, basically.
Yeah, Vinegar Syndrome, they definitely put out like some of the most off the beaten path horror movies I've ever seen. They do like a lot of cult classics and a lot of stuff that doesn't get the light of day.
Mhm.
Maybe there's a reason for that, but I mean, there's a lot of good stuff they put out. But you're right, though. You can look at the poster and be like, "Oh, that looks amazing," because they do put out a lot of stuff that we've never heard of, and even just getting, reading the basic blurb, you can't get much out of it. So I bought
Yeah.
some. I'm like, ooh, maybe that wasn't the right purchase.
Yeah. But you know what? This is the right purchase for you, Austin. What are you grabbing?
Oh, I was just gonna say this is one of the ones that you can't see it. It's Tammy and the T-Rex.
Oh
I
yeah.
bought from, I bought from Vinegar Syndrome. That was one of the greatest blind buys of all time.
Well, that wasn't a blind buy for me because I'm old enough to remember when that movie came out.
You have to
So,
remember, I grew up in a Christian household, so I didn't even get to start watching horror movies until I was like 17.
bitch, my family, the men were pastors. So don't talk to me about Christian backgrounds.
I couldn't get anything in that house. My parents had to approve shit. It was it was the worst. So
Oh,
that's why I
well,
have so much to catch up on, you know.
that so it's funny because that I wasn't robbed of horror stuff. I was robbed of like typical childhood enjoyment stuff, like not like activities, but movies and media. Like movies that people watch as kids are like, I love those. I'm like, I never saw it because even though like my family, or at least on my step family side, everybody was like a preacher of some sort.
Mm.
My parents were really busy and they were never home. So I was kind of like raised at my grandma's house and she didn't know anything. I mean, not that she didn't know anything. I love my grandma, but you know, she didn't know what I
I
was
love her.
watching. Yeah. She
She
didn't
has
know what I was
no idea.
watching. And so she would take me to Blockbuster and just leave me. She barely spoke English. And so, you know, I would just go and rent whatever. And but like movies like the fuck are these movies called? Why am I drawing a blank? The one with the kids and the
What? The one with the kids and the what?
Goonies. The
Oh,
Goonies.
hey,
Uh,
you guys.
yeah, that one. So like Goonies, um, Indiana Jones, all of those movies that kids really like, Never Ending Story. I didn't watch those movies because I skipped them and went straight to horror.
Funny that you mentioned Indiana Jones because the face melting scene from Raiders of the Lost Ark, that's one of the things that my parents would make me like go around the corner for because I couldn't watch it. And I didn't see it until I was like 14. I was like, shit, that's awesome. Why haven't I been able to watch that my whole life?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was pretty strict household, which like I get, but also you gotta let your kids, you know, fucking figure shit out on their own sometimes.
it depends.
Yeah.
Like,
Movies like let them, you know, let them explore and do things as long as it's not like crazy, but you know, that you have to figure out what they like and stuff like that.
yeah, and like I was raised so like even though my family and extended family were all religious, my mom liked horror. And so I gauge it on like what my mom would cover my eyes for. My mom didn't
Okay.
really cover my eyes for nudity, but like she would cover my eyes if they were like having sex. Violence, it was like it depended what kind of violence was happening. Um, and so I think I kind of have that with my kid as well, because you know, I have a set where she's gonna be 7 soon, and she hasn't seen much. She's seen like the typical Goosebumps and stuff, but my mother-in-law showed her Halloween Kills, and I was like, oh, probably the one that she shouldn't have watched out of the whole entry.
Oh God.
Um, like the most violent one.
Yeah,
Um,
that yeah.
but like, you know, Scream, she saw the Scream 5. Scream 6 might be a little too violent for her, but I know when to cover her eyes. But she can't watch like monsters or ghost, but like serial killers she's okay with. Um, but also like I wouldn't want her watching like anything about school shootings or anything like that. Like that's
Oh God, no. Yeah, don't let her watch We Need to Talk About Kevin.
ugh, I haven't even seen that.
That one is a rough watch.
Yeah.
Whew.
It's funny because they always bring up when my husband came home one time and I had her in a high chair and I was eating popcorn and she was eating like mashed potatoes that I made for her. And she was maybe like 2-ish, maybe 1. We were watching Happy Death Day. And he was like,
I love it.
what the fuck are you watching? I was like, it's PG-13. He's like, she's
Yeah.
not even 13.
So what? It's PG-13 just means you need a parental unit there to watch it with you or bring you to
Yes.
the movies. It's
And
okay.
here I am, a
Yeah,
parental unit.
parental unit.
But yeah, it was funny. So
I love it. I can't wait to show my future baby all the spooky things. Probably gonna start off with like Killer Clowns and Paranorman and Casper and shit like that. Gotta start small.
well, don't start off with Killer Clowns. Um
Well, I'm saying like Casper, Paranorman, then work our way up. You know, got to start easy, like some Goosebumps stuff like that.
Oh yeah. And then
Yeah.
it's funny because like there's these really cute ones on YouTube that are like cartoons. Um
Oh
it's
yeah.
cool. Yeah, there's a lot of fun horror type stuff for kids on YouTube. Um so definitely recommend that because it wasn't until like recently Olivia started liking scary stuff. I remember when we first put on Monster House, I think she was like 5. She was like,
Oh,
fuck
that's such
that.
an underrated movie. Oh my god.
It scared her too much. We had to turn it off. But
Oh, a little
also,
too much.
yeah, but I think also she doesn't really like supernatural stuff. Like that freaks her out. She
Okay.
likes, but now she's watching YouTube of, do you know what a 3 a.m. video is?
No, I mean I can assume what they are, but I've never heard the term.
So these stupid YouTube people, and they're kids. Like, of course, we know as adults, 3 a.m. is the witching hour. It's supposed to be the hour that the bad stuff happens. If you wake up during that hour, it's because some superstition, whatever. So, like, all these YouTubers that she follows that usually like review games or toys or whatever, they have 3 a.m. videos where they do stuff at 3 a.m. and like scary stuff happens. And she'll have nightmares from that. I'm like, stop watching that.
Stop doing.
Because
Goodness.
that's where like the urban legends come from, like that Charlie says or whatever. I don't even know these things.
Yeah. Can't keep up with all this shit, man.
Yeah. But anyways, we're getting off track. So there's nothing out there, and there's also nothing in this movie. So watch it if you want to. There's boobs.
Gratuitous amounts of boobs.
Yeah, let us know how you feel about it. Anyways, thank you guys for joining us today. If you would like to listen to Austin's sultry voice more, you can find him on Frightmare's podcast, wherever fine podcasts are sold. And you can also follow his podcast on Instagram at Frightmare's Podcast. Does Frightmare's have Facebook?
Yeah, we have Facebook. It's just Frightmares. I should have probably add podcast because we have a lot of followers, and I'm sure that they have no idea we're even a podcast. They really like memes. That's what I've learned about running a Facebook page is they like memes more than anything. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Memes is the language of the internet.
It is. Damn you.
Yeah, listen to Frightmare's podcast. You'll hear sometimes me and Aid.
Oh, you're on the next episode. We're doing Piggy on the next episode.
Yeah.
The next
Austin was like, I'm gonna pick a movie that makes me think about you. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And then it's like,
oh,
Piggy.
you referred it to me, sir.
About a plus size Mexican woman. Actually, I think
Oh
she's
my God.
Spanish. But just
Oh, that's
kidding.
right.
Now,
It is Spanish. That's right.
yeah, no, just kidding. I'm really excited to watch it. If you haven't heard of Piggy, look it up. It's apparently like a plus size teenage girl who gets picked on, witnesses the popular kids that pick on her get kidnapped, Texas Chainsaw Massacre style, and she's like going through a moral issue, like, did I really see that, or am I just gonna walk away? So I love it. I live
Yeah.
for it. Definitely on her side. But anyways, yes, so we're covering that for Women's Month because on Frightmare's podcast, Austin is doing women-directed movies for his March episodes.
Cool.
If you like what you heard and you want to become a Patreon member, we're going to start upping our Patreon episodes. We have a really fun one coming up, but I've been lazy and haven't edited it yet. So I promise I will get to that soon. So you can join us on Patreon at patreon.com/slasherspod. If you'd like a t-shirt, if you'd like coffee mugs, mouse pads, whatever that they put their little, oh, I have a saying. From coffee cans to dental dams, you can get them on slasherspod.redbubble.com.
Love it.
And if you also join Patreon, we have a really cool Discord server that I'd like to get going and active. So join so we can get that moving. You can also talk to us on Instagram if you want. You can find me at Horror and a Half Shell. You can find Aid at Pathologically Aid, Doug at Doug Bizarro. Our podcast Instagram is Mutant Goons from Beyond. And I think that's it. Have a safe St. Patrick's Day. Thank you, Austin, for joining me today. It's always a pleasure. And goodbye and good
Beautiful. Bye.
Here's my boobs. I had to just for this episode. That's just how I envision all vaginas look like.
No. They're much nicer looking. than
Uglier. Oh.
that. For the most part.